right, guys, what's up? We are back with Behind the Bikini, and we are on episode 78. The year is just about to like officially start with the Arnold coming up next week. So we're in your peak week, basically.
Wait,
Um,
what? The Arnold's
Wait,
coming up
what?
next
I know
week?
what's happening. What is this? This is a show. What is this? I don't even know. So as we get into that today, like, comment, subscribe, push all the buttons wherever they are, share with your friends, all of the fun things. Today's topic, we are going to just go through a bunch of questions that you guys have sent in. We've gotten a bunch over the last few weeks. And we haven't really done a Q&A one in a long time. We did like one a long time ago. So I figure we might as well just make this a Q&A one, since you are in peak week for probably one of the bigger shows of your career. So how's everything feeling? How's everything going?
Really good. Yeah. We checked in this morning early because I dropped 2 pounds overnight.
Mm,
So the last time I checked in, what's today? Today is Wednesday? No, Thursday. The last time I checked in was on Tuesday. And we got a refeed that night. And then Wednesday, I woke up and I was up like a pound and a half from my refeed. But then I went to bed last night and I was already less than what I did yesterday morning. So I knew I was going to be down. So I woke up this morning, I was 2 pounds down. So checked in with Jamie this morning and she gave me a little bit more food. So, and reduced my step count. So she's like, if you're not training, you're just sitting. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. So yeah, we're in a really good spot right now. Something else that's really cool is Phoebe's in town. So
mm,
I was able to do a one-on-one with her posing session this morning. We kind of revamped my routine. So I'm really excited for that. And obviously we're only 8 days out at this point. So I'm gonna have to practice that every day. But just some really good, solid, simple changes that really
yeah.
elevate it. It was really cool to pose with her. That's the first time I've posed with her, so that was a really cool experience. But we're feeling really good, really excited. I did not get good sleep last night, so I'm a little today, but
Yeah.
hopefully after a good night's sleep, we'll be feeling better tomorrow.
Well, it's funny how, and again, we've done this for almost 2 years now, and I've seen you through a lot of your peaks, and just how this one is just so different for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, what do
it's
you? I
weird.
mean, do you think you just attribute that to just the fact that you didn't go like way off after the Olympia and things like that, or what do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's got several, things. It's definitely the leanness, post the Olympia. My training has not reduced at all in intensity. I've been able to hold a really good intensity the entire time. We pushed 60 minutes of cardio for a good 3 or 4 weeks, but then we were able to taper after that. I'm just really holding on to some solid tissue. The body is just responding so well right now. We got my lab work back a couple of weeks ago, and everything. It's honestly better now than it was in my improvement season. So, um, I don't know. It's just like the longer you do this, the body starts understanding, okay, this is what it is and what we're needing to do. And I'm taking my improvement season so seriously now, and just putting myself in the best position possible, for prep. So it's cool. I'm really excited. What Jamie keeps saying is like, I literally just have to throw your spreadsheet out the window right now. Like, this is
Yeah.
going to be completely new data, which is also cool and exciting. Like, I literally have zero expectations of what the week is going to look like in terms of training and how much I'm going to eat, and obviously what my physique is going to look like. So it's going to be all brand new, and a little bit. There's a little bit of fear, to that
Yeah.
too. Obviously, it's not. It's kind of the fear of the unknown, if you will, but also exciting in the same manner.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like I watched your vlog, I think it was yesterday, because I was traveling all day yesterday coming back to Vegas. So I had all my YouTube downloads ready to go on the flight. And I was just looking at your progress photos, and what I went back to was, I remember one of the first conversations we ever had was you DM me asking for feedback about your physique and everything on at the show. Which show was that one? It was like your pro debut or second one or something like that. I can't
Probably
remember what it was.
Miami or something. Yeah, or maybe Republic. After Republic, that was one of my earlier
Yeah.
ones in my career.
I can't remember which one it was, but I just remember saying, yeah, I'm like, and you knew this, like, you have to work on your quads. Your quads are a little bit too dominant, and you just really need some more upper outer glute more than anything else, right? And I'm looking at your pictures that you put up for your progress check-in and your vlog, and I was like, shit. I was like, she does not look at all like she looked like back then. I was like, damn, like that's exactly what you needed to do. Is that like, is that really like fulfilling to see that you've been able to do that for yourself?
100%. And,
Yeah.
when we talked, one of our very first podcasts we did in person at my gym in Push, one of the things that we talked about at that time was like, there's just no wow factor when I turn to the
Yeah.
back. It's great. It's good, but it
Yeah.
wasn't wow, and
Yeah.
like all of us, we want to be wow, we want
Yeah.
to keep, pursuing the best of our ability to the, highest level. So to see where I was then and, where my glutes were then and how much I thought I knew then, compared to now, it's really fulfilling and, just a testament of, keep showing up and keep working and you don't know everything and keep being a student of the sport. And, it's so funny still when I get the consult calls and the girls are like, I know how to train. I know how to do this. I'm like, really? You do? Because I still don't know. I'm still
Yeah.
learning,
Yeah.
So just continuing to, show up for yourself. And it is cool, to see what I've built. And that's the whole point of the sport, right? Is
Right.
bodybuilding.
Well, and that was the thing too. I had this conversation actually with Jane the other day. We were talking about she's switching to fit model,
Fit
just
model.
like I am. And I was just having this conversation, it kind of hit me like a lightning bolt. I'm like, when I started this, it wasn't about going to the Olympia. It wasn't about being on that stage. That's not what I did it for. I did it to make myself better. And not only that too, but I did it to inspire people around me, like my family. My family's has a history of everybody being overweight, things like that. You know what I mean? So helping them and inspiring others around me and things like that. That's the reason why I did it. I didn't do it for a trophy. You know what I mean? So
I
it's
know. I
just
wish we
funny.
could all have like that first show mentality every trip.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I was like, I just that like that when I was having that conversation with her, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, this is what it's about. It's about inspiring. She's got her kids and stuff like that too. And I'm like, it's about inspiring that next generation. It's not necessarily the trophies and stuff like that matter. It's the being able to do the things we thought we couldn't do. The thought that we thought we were done, but we're not done. We're not even close to being done. You know what I mean? And it's just cool to be able to see that kind of stuff come to fruition. And it's a very difficult thing to do too because it is so slow of a process and people expect immediate results. We've talked about this so many times. It's like we live in a microwave society. Bodybuilding is a great example of how it is not microwave at all. It's like slow cooker overnight. Like that
Yeah,
is
what
it's
better
it's
way to
a
learn patience than the
yeah.
sport?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. Because when we have that conversation, that was 2 years ago, when we did that, that podcast in your gym. So you think about it, and you still haven't hit your ceiling, you know what I mean? But you've made the improvements over 2 years. It's not, and you're considered to be an elite athlete. You're considered to be at the top of the sport, you know what I mean? And you're still like, it's a grind every single day to make those improvements. And people don't realize it's like, you're not going to look like an Olympian in one off season. It's just not going to happen.
Nor are you going to believe it. I
Right.
was on John Cruising the Bodybuilding Scenes podcast last night, and he's so good at memory. He was like, I remember in between your first Olympia and your second Olympia, you were having some mental battles, and you thought to yourself that maybe it was a fluke and you weren't going
Right.
to get qualified for the Olympia that second year. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that like it was yesterday. I literally started the prep for the second, pro season. And I was like, what if I don't qualify for the Olympia again? Like, what if season one was just a fluke and I'm never going to get it again? But those are the fears, that you
Oh
tell
yeah.
yourself. And as humans, we do that to protect ourselves, to set a realistic expectation. But like you said, like don't make your own ceiling. I think that's where people, they kind of put themselves in a box and they don't continue to progress because they tell themselves they can't or they won't. And you
Yep.
never really know what your fullest potential is until you give it 100% and also time.
Yeah. And we get in our own way. We really do. And it's I don't necessarily think it's a defense mechanism. It's a protection.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
if I don't try, if I don't put myself out there, I can't get hurt. I can't get disappointed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what it is. It's not a and I don't know, maybe I've just been lucky in this regard. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, I remember sitting down with my notepad and writing down a bucket list of all the things I wanted to do before I died. Right. And when I got out of high school, I immediately started hitting that bucket list. I was like, I'm
I
going to do
love
this,
that.
this, 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 this. And I did all of the things. And every day, like you have to sit down and write more bucket list items. And I think probably the ignorance of not realizing not thinking I had limitations when I was that age put me out there being like, I'm just gonna fucking do this. And it's like, you didn't have the preconceived notions of I only have this much, that I can only do this, I can only go this far when you're that young, you know what I mean? I came from nowhere, like upstate New York on a freaking pig farm, you know what I mean? So I didn't have any concept of the real world, so I just went into it, ignorance is bliss, I'm gonna just fucking do this, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I did it, you know. And so now that I'm older and wiser, you know, we start to believe the limitations, you know. And it's like I always think back to that time frame of when I was young and didn't know any better, I just went and did it, you know.
Yeah.
Like nothing stopped me, I just went and did it. And I realized, like, I always tell people, like, the worst thing that can happen to you is somebody can tell you no. Is it really that bad?
Right. Right.
No, I
And
mean,
I'm
it's
sure
not.
too, like with you, recently considering switching to fit model, like what were your thoughts around that? Like, were you worried? Were you scared? Like, were you worried about what
No,
people would think? No, you just knew
no.
immediately. Yeah. Yeah.
I was none of that. Like I was excited, you know. So
Yeah.
that's why when I saw like all of the negativity come around the sport, I was like, "What the hell, man? This is
Yeah.
exciting." You know,
Yeah.
like this is the debate that I have with people all the time, because they talk about how, you know, it's not really bodybuilding. It shouldn't be on a bodybuilding stage. Blah blah blah. I'm like, yes, it is. Regardless of how you look at it, which one is harder, whatever. Whether it's this, you think that this is harder or that's harder, it's still a bodybuilding.
Hmm.
It's still what you do during the day. I said, and what you got to realize too is we are very in this sport. We don't see what normal people see, right? We see all the, like, anybody looked at your glutes 2 years ago, they would think you're amazing and Olympia winner, right? We're in it so deep, we're like, oh, we see all the problems. You know what I mean? People on the outside, I tell people all the time, like when I walk around just a normal day to day, and I'm sure you get this too. I'm the biggest, most muscular girl these people have ever seen in their lives, you know? And it's just like, and I feel like I'm a stick in comparison to some people, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's like you have to take yourself out of it and say, for a normal human being, fit model is muscular. It's
It is.
big. It's a big girl. Like, that's a lot. So what you got to realize too is that these people coming into the sport, these girls coming into the sport, they want to look at somebody on the Olympia stage that they can say realistically, I could look like that. That's what's going to get them started.
Yeah.
In today's world, you look at bikini pros, as great as you guys look, freaking like elite athletes. And a normal human being looks at that and says, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah.
truth. I mean, if I had that, if I had, because again, I go back to my first starting days and stuff like that. And I saw figure as being a huge challenge for me, but I wanted to do it. I'm not the normal person. For a lot of people, they're like, that's too big, that's too muscular, right? I mean, I will never forget this. I was a manager of a gym, right? I'm sitting there in my office. I've got a picture of myself on the desk of when I won my pro card as a figure pro, right? And I have these two ladies in my office about to buy a gym membership. And the woman looks at me, she goes, yeah, she's like, I just want to get in shape. She goes, I don't need to look like that. That's too much. And she pointed at the picture of me, not realizing it was me. And I go, you know that's me, right? Because I'm sitting there in my like khakis and like polo shirt as a gym manager. You know what I mean? I'm like, you do realize that's me, right? She's like, no, I didn't know. I had no idea. And again, I'm just a normal person, a normal human being sitting there in front of her. But on stage, she looks at that. She says, I don't want to look like that. You know what
Right.
I mean? So we have to think about those things. And like when we look at the concept of fit model, I see that as being something that a normal person can look at and say, I could achieve that.
100%.
And regardless of how you view that, that inspires somebody to get in shape, right?
Hmm.
That inspires somebody to have a better lifestyle, that inspires somebody to try harder for what they really want. And whatever that may lead to, that may never lead to even a national qualification. It may never lead to even that. But it doesn't matter because it's going to affect their lives in a positive manner in some other form or fashion, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we get so focused on that we have to win our pro card, we have to get to the Olympia, we have to do this, that we forget all those other little things that we actually help people with along the way,
Yeah.
right? I know
John
I
and I were
do.
talking about that last night. It's like, it's human nature to compare, so
Yeah,
what you're saying is, where people before Fit Model, they were comparing themselves to starting this journey and saying, can I look like that? Am I going to be able to achieve that? And when they asked themselves that question, they told themselves no. So they're
that's
turned
right.
away from the sport. So it's natural. It's a human emotion and nature to compare and assess, and that's part of our decision making when we undertake a task such as bodybuilding or a career shift or whatever that looks like. Fit
Mhm.
model is going to be hands down the one that people can compare themselves to and go, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
And we need that. We need that in our sport. And I said to John, it's more than just bringing people into the sport. It's about changing people's lives, right? Like, how many
Correct.
times have we talked to people that said that bodybuilding has changed their life? I know I am. I
100%.
know it has changed your life. Like, that's the people that we need to touch and that need
100%.
bodybuilding, and Fit Model is going to allow that opportunity for these people.
Agreed. 100%. And again, we look at people like that are just trying to live normal lives. We've talked about this 1,000 times. It's really hard to be a mom and do this sport. I don't know how people do it half the time. It's like this gives them the opportunity to be an inspiration for their children. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they're growing the next generation in a healthy manner too. And they may never make it to the Olympia stage. That's okay, but their kids will see a great example of that. And
Yep.
that's more important. Leaving a legacy like that behind is way more important. Those are the things that are remembered at the end of the day. Your titles and things like that, we've talked about this too. Your titles are not what's remembered. It's who you impact along the way that what makes a
How you
difference.
make people feel. Absolutely.
Hmm.
They're going to remember that.
Absolutely.
They're not going to remember what you won 3 years ago. They're going to remember a conversation that you had with them, something that you changed their life with, and how you made them feel. That's what people
100%.
are going to remember. That's the legacy.
Right. And going back to, it's like there's just, we've talked about this before too. There's just some genetic limitations, there's age limitations, there's lifestyle limitations that just, this at the end of the day, this is still a hobby, and it's an expensive one at that, right? So, you start putting into, okay, I got to go do 5 national shows in order to try to win my pro card. And you're a mom in your 30s with 3 kids who are trying to go do all their sports and things like that too. It's like, which one do you pick? I mean, if I was a mom, I would pick them. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to start thinking about things like that too, and it's just part of it. Like I look back at. I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm like, you know, the Battle of the Bay, Jessica Wilson won the show, and then I weighed in at 142 that show, right? She weighed in at 102, I believe. So, 40-pound difference between the two of us, right? And I was told I still need more muscle. And I'm just thinking about this in my head. That was the biggest I've ever gone on stage, ever, like as far as heavy, like weight and all that. And I'm like, but I won my pro card in 2013 and I was 137 pounds. So in that time frame, I only put on 5 pounds, like
A
really
muscle.
only put on 5 pounds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's,
Yep.
it's a slow fucking sport. That's fucking 12 years, man.
Yeah.
Like that's tough. That's it's hard on your body. It's hard to maintain that over that time frame. People don't realize like you've been saying this off season is going great for you. It's been going great for me as well, but it's been another challenge in and of itself because I can't keep weight on. So like we went out to dinner for our Valentine's thing, and I had my free meal finally, and I went up a couple of pounds, but then I'm right back down again. This morning I woke up and I'm right back down to where I was before. And I'm just like, okay, like I can't keep weight on. I
Yeah.
just can't. It's a whole other beast. It's like my body does not want to be bigger. It doesn't want to, and it's like we're just gonna stop. This is as far as you can go. You know what I mean? And so you
And
start
some
thinking about
women
that.
listening to this are like, oh my God, that's a great thing that you're not gaining weight. And it's not for what the goal is. It's not
Correct.
good on
It's
either
frustrating.
side.
That's
Yeah,
right. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because
absolutely.
it's been so long that I've been trying to do this, and it's just my body does not want to do it. Just doesn't want to do it. It's just like
Yeah.
whatever. And there's other people on the other side of that coin that whatever they do, it's hard for them to take weight off. So we all have our struggles. We all have our things. But at some point you got to sit back and say, okay, what is my body trying to tell me? Versus me trying to sit here and force it to do something that it doesn't want to do. Right. So this was something I had a conversation with one of my clients about just the other day in her check-in too, because she's, gosh, she was on stage with, so she's 17, I think she's about 17 pounds above her stage weight right now. She competed in November, and she still has great body composition right now and everything like that too. She's just filled out and everything, and she's asked me, and she's like, can I stay at this level of leanness and still gain muscle through off season? And I said, yes. I was like, first of all, she's a national athlete. I said, so first of all, I said, when you put weight on, you've got to try just as hard to get it off. I said, so the fact that you're about 17 pounds over your stage weight right now is a really good spot to be in. You're in a good body composition where you can continue to grow, but you're not putting on so much body fat that it's going to be brutal trying to take it all off. I said, and she's my size, she's a tall girl. So
Yeah,
17 pounds,
17 is nothing.
it's not a
Yeah.
lot. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, where you are right now is actually really, really good. I said, I want to keep you right here and continue to increase your food and your training intensity and all that kind of stuff so we can build more muscle on you and not have to kill you to get the fat off. Like there's a balance there too. So you just have to be, everybody's got their thing, everybody's got their struggle. Her body wants to put on weight like that. Like her body is opposite of mine. She wants to put on muscle, she wants to put on weight, she wants to put on body fat like nobody's tomorrow. But we got to keep her reined in so that when we go to diet her again, it's not going to kill her to do it. Right.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got their struggles.
Absolutely. And just like we were just saying, like it's, gaining weight or like difficulty gaining weight or difficulty losing weight, they're both the same struggle. They both
Right.
suck. It's just on opposite sides of the goal. So that's where it's just really important, like what you're saying with, your athlete and that kind of communication that you're having. I think the athlete needs to hear that as well from the coach. Like, hey, we're in a great spot. I'm not worried about the 17 pounds. This is
Yeah.
my plan. Like, this is our plan. This is what my intentions are. This is what I'm hoping to see out of you.
Right.
You and Jamie are probably still figuring this one out. Like, all right, we're doing a free meal each week. I'm still dropping. My stress is high. I'm sure your business right now with suits is a lot right now, trying to figure out the new fit model cut.
Well,
I can only imagine what you're dealing with.
It's like, and people don't realize like there's a creative process behind all of this stuff too. And it's like, it doesn't just, for me, I'm like, I can't just spit stuff out. Like it doesn't just happen, right? It takes a lot of creative and mental, like massaging in order to get it to work. And it's still going to as we go along and everything too. So it took me a while to be finally okay. Like I said, I just put it out yesterday, my fit model cut. Like I'm good with it now. And actually, I actually like it.
I really like it.
I turned,
You did a great job.
Thank you. I turned in my pictures yesterday. And Jamie's like, well, she's like, because my right glute's all fucked up. I got to get dry needling done on it. She's like, well, the good thing about this suit is it covers up that spot. I was like, I know, that's great. I was like, my glute doesn't look like it has a shallow spot anymore because of the cut. So I'm like, it's got its pluses.
There. What are you talking about?
It's got its pluses there. So, so it's like, I'm like, okay, I actually like this. I understand the concept behind why they want more coverage. I think that too, because again, it goes to a more mainstream market and everything. So I understand all that stuff too.
And it differentiates it from bikini. It definitely makes it different. And that's the intention, is that it's different.
Yep.
It's not just a small bikini. It is a completely different criteria.
And I'm hoping we do get some more creative license. Like I'd like to be able to put like decorative connectors on there, pieces on there, whatever. And we don't necessarily have to be full bling or anything like that. But like, just simple things, little ornament, like, circly connectors or whatever, something cute.
I actually love that you're talking about this, because this was one of the questions that somebody put in my question boxes. They were asking like your thoughts on the cut and like if you were okay with the cut or how you think about, bikini and where those cuts are going. So I love that you're already kind of talking about that.
Yeah. Well, I can expand on that too. I mean, the first few shows, and this will go into some of the questions that came in. So some of the questions that came in were about fit models. So the first few shows, I was like, I don't like this cut at all. But I think it's just the way that the designs were put together. I'm like, again, I went back and I was massaging different things and reasons why I didn't like the cuts. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to fix that part of it because I don't like that. I don't like the way it looks. It's got to sit on the glutes a certain way in order for it to accentuate the glutes and still cover it enough.
And not look like a diaper.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest issue, I think, with most of the cuts that I've seen, and this is from several different suit companies, is they have too much fabric on the top of the glutes.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost
like a heart.
Yeah. It's almost like it goes across the lower back. And I'm like, and I know the reason why. The reason why is because they're just taking bikini cuts, which do that, and just adding more material down below. That's not how this is supposed to look, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're not trying to go up and over the glutes in fit model. In bikini, we're trying to go up and over the glutes. Same thing with wellness. We're trying to go up and over the glutes. So it makes sense to have the fabric up there and not down below. In fit model, we're not trying to go up and over the glutes. So what you're creating is like 2-3 inches of fabric on top that doesn't need to be there. It doesn't cover your glutes
accentuating
anymore.
Anything.
No.
It's not giving shape. Got it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't it doesn't cover your glutes anymore. It actually covers your lower back,
Yeah.
right? So I got rid of that. Just that alone made a big difference, right?
Got it.
And then I looked at the ratio of like the 50%, right? So it's in circumference of the glutes. So that line that goes across the glute goes down right across that 50% of the glute. And again, this is custom, so it's going to be different for each person. So it actually does round the glute out when you do it correctly, right?
Mm,
So and then also having a little bit higher in the front makes a big difference too, because again, we're not trying to go up and over the glutes in the back. So because we're not trying to go up and over the glutes in the back, we don't want those hip straps up super high either.
got it.
So that is what makes a big difference. You can't have that big V dip in the front like you do on the bikinis and wellness ones, because that's not the same look in the back that we're
Which
going
makes
for.
sense. Like if you think about like a Sports Illustrated and a
Yeah.
woman that's in a bikini, it's more of like a neutral hip bone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, exactly right. And that's what this is too. So again,
Yep.
going back to it's just a different look overall for the actual cut itself.
I
So
like
you
that
have to train
though.
it.
I like that it's
No, I do too.
different. Yeah.
I do too. No,
Yeah.
I actually, and again, I go back to, I'm like, okay, this is starting to look like, and again, you said Sports Illustrated. That's what I kept going back and forth in my head about. I'm like, these women are beautiful and classy and everything in Sports Illustrated. And the way that I'm looking at fit models, kind of that look,
Yeah.
the fitness look, very, very pretty, very attainable, very classy, all those kinds of things. So again, I go back to that's the look that I'm trying to create from the suits as well. Just the overall look in general on stage. That's what we're looking for. The
Yeah.
beach bikini
And the
model,
sweat
right?
the sweatsuit division in like pageantry.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
not like too exposed. It's
Mhm.
like right on the hip bones. Like
Yep.
that's where I kept thinking when they were
Yep.
talking about this 50%. So good. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, like I
Yeah.
said, you posted that yesterday and I was like, "Oh, I really like that." It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite cuts I've seen so
Thank
far of the
you.
fit model. Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And it's structured. I structured it differently too, because again, I go back to like it's going to be on stage, so you're going to have tan, you're going to have all that stuff. So you can't have this thin little piece of fabric on you because it's gonna bleed through.
I didn't even think
And
about the tan. Yeah, because the jewels really do kind of help mask all that
add
tan that's
structure.
on that suit. There's a lot of tan that gets on the suit.
Yeah, it adds
Yeah,
structure. The stones actually add structure to the suit. So if you don't have that there, you have to have something else.
sure.
So excuse me. So I just made it, double thickness. So again, you've got more structure to the suit.
Cool.
So it feels like it's going to hold you together, and you're not going to bleed through when you got tan coming through the suit and all that kind of stuff too. So stuff that you don't think about unless you're actually a competitor.
See, I knew that you were stressing over that. I knew that there was wheels turning over the last 4 weeks. I just know. I know what goes on. Yeah. Well, you're looking at each show and then you're looking at the judges are saying about those. And the first few fit model shows, I mean, really those suit makers like thank you because you just kind of lead
Gave
the
us what not
way.
to do. Yeah, what
Right.
not
I
to
mean,
do.
and that's okay. Like somebody's
Yeah,
got to put themselves out there and figure it out, and now, thank you. Now they'll adjust too. And,
that's right.
you're learning from that as well.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's not done. Like I said, I'm ready to pivot too as the criteria evolves. Um, we've only had two shows, right? We've had two
Yeah.
shows. So it's like this is not a good indicator. And I think there was what, 10 girls in the first one, four in the second. So
Yeah.
this
And the
is
first pro qualifier coming up, what, this weekend?
this weekend. Yeah,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Japan. So I'm curious to see how many people they get in that Japan show. I'm curious to see how that goes. Um, but yeah, it's like I said, it's going to evolve as we go along, and that's the whole thing. It's like you got to be able to, and again, being willing to pivot. And I sit there and again, when you're designing stuff, this is just like when you're designing training programs too. I mean, it's not one and done. It's like you have to sit there and massage things and move things around and structure things differently and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been fun. I
But it
actually
makes a
enjoy
difference
it.
when you know that it's thought provoking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I actually enjoy doing it. Like I have a very like engineering mind. I want to fix problems. So I'm like I'm always looking at what can I do to fix that, make this better, you know. Let me plug this in
That's why
there,
you're
plug that
great
in
at
there.
what you do. Yeah.
That's right. That's why we do what we do. That's why we do what we
Exactly.
do. So
Exactly.
now it's been good. So again, I'm pretty happy with it at this point. And I'm like, oh, okay, that actually looks pretty good. I'm like, I'm
Are
not
you
mad
gonna
at it.
start are you gonna start selling like posing suits or anything right now for Fit Model? With
So
that
I
no
think with
new
the
cut, you're still
I
gonna wait.
I think with the posing suits, I'm just going to stick with the ones that I have, the pro cuts and stuff.
Okay, perfect.
The reason why I say that is just because in general as a coach, I want to see as much of you as I can. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like, so especially most girls that I've talked to that are starting in model do have the ambition to potentially go to bikini. So in
Oh,
that
that's
regard, I still,
interesting.
I
Okay.
still need to see the full glute development. Like I just talked about with myself, I have that shallow spot on my right glute. You can't see it when I got the fit model suit on, but you can when I'm in my posing suit.
Mm.
So, things like that, I'm like, I still want to have
You want to
the
improve it.
smaller coverage. Right.
You
I
don't
still
want
want
to
to have the
just
smaller
throw a
coverage.
suit over it and not deal with it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because if you don't
Sure.
see it, and again, Jamie can't see it when I'm in that cut. So, she can't critique me on it if she can't see it. Right.
Right.
So I had one of my clients actually check in last week and she was wearing boy cut shorts and a sports bra. She's like, I saw the requirements for fit models, so I changed out my suit. She had a regular bikini and all of her other check-ins. I was like, I think you're looking at the IFB Elite. That's first of all, because that's their fit model. That's not ours. I said, put the other suit on. I'm like, I realize the other suit is going to be less coverage than what we're going to put you on stage in. I'm like, but I need to see all of it, So
Yeah.
I'd rather see you in the smaller suit coverage because we can cover stuff up, but if I don't know it's there, it's like we can't fix it, Like it's
Totally.
just like being cosmetic. Like you can put concealer over a zit, but that doesn't cure the zit. You know what I
Still there.
mean? It's still there. So we got to fix that first, and then we can cover up whatever we need to cover up. But whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah. So in general, I think the posing suits are still going to stay the same.
Okay.
Um, just
I was just
I mean,
wondering.
at the end of the day, it's about seeing progress. It's not. It doesn't have to fit a criteria. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, keep it easy, keep it simple. So
On everybody.
yeah. I mean, in general too, like if you wanted to do a fit model suit as your posing suit, I mean, these suits are way cheaper than regular bikinis. So
Yeah.
it's not like you couldn't do that if you wanted to. You could order it and get it custom made for you. So you still could do that. Most people that are ordering these suits are ordering a few of them, so that they have backups. They have different colors. That's one of the good things about it being so much less expensive, basically.
Cheaper.
So yeah, and we are putting together a package. So this is actually we're going to launch it during the Arnold weekend. So we're putting together a whole package that includes multiple suits, includes posing, includes, hair and makeup tutorials and tanning and all the kind of stuff that I do for all of the other divisions. So we're going to do it specifically for Fit Model too.
Sweet.
So then that way
So if
they've
you're
got this thing
listening,
covered.
tune in.
Yes.
Tune into
Yes.
that.
Sign up for my newsletter, which is boldlyconquer.com. It's in the description box. So sign up for that. It's a free newsletter, and we let you know when we're doing all that kind of stuff. So we are launching it during the Arnold weekend, and then I always do webinars whenever I launch these new packages to explain everything in it. So we'll do a webinar once I get back from the Arnold.
Sweet. Well,
So
before we move on from suits, I had one more question that came in about suits. So I'm going to
okay.
just throw it at you. So
Yeah.
this one says suit and posing tips for long torso, short leg ladies. I feel like I always look stubby.
Long torso, short legs.
Legs.
Okay. So in general, if you have a long torso, your hip strap should be up higher. I would even make your suit bottom front higher because it's all about balancing you out. It's about balancing out your proportions. Um, I'm the opposite. I have a short torso and long legs, so I tend to look better with a little bit lower front and not pulling my hip straps way up high. So again, it's going to be individual to the person, but that's one thing. You can kind of play with your back strap too, with your top, with your bikini. You can pull it down a little bit. We don't want to pull it down too far because then you start looking like you're trying to show lat spread and stuff like that, like Issa was doing and stuff like that. So again, you got to kind of play with that a little bit. And then when it comes to posing, again, it's going to be very individual. But one thing I tell my clients all the time is whatever you push towards the judges is going to look bigger. Whatever you pull away from the judges is going to look smaller. So if we want to let's say we want to make your torso look shorter, we might pull your upper body back a little bit and then push your hips out just a touch. So we make your lower body look a little bit longer and your upper body look a little bit shorter. I do the exact opposite again because I'm short on top and long on the bottom. So again, those are different things, but it's about showing the proportions in the right light for the judge's perspective too. I just had this conversation with a figure client that I posed right before this podcast. And I was telling her, I was like, if you ever look at like a side view of these figure girls on stage, In their back pose, they're all tipped this way. So
Mhm.
if the judges are down here, they're all tipped this way because they're trying to get their back to look bigger from the judge's perspective. So, you got to look at those kinds of things, right? So that's, I mean, that's the Reader's Digest answer to that question. But as always, it depends.
It
As
depends.
always.
Ironically, as you're answering this question, I just see Margaret from Toxic just messaged me that she's fixing my bottoms because they're getting on us in the pro league about the sides of the suit. So she took my bottoms at the summit and kind of down the right angles or whatever, and then just opening up a little bit. So she was like, "Hey, they're going in the mail tomorrow. Hopefully you like them."
So the sides as far as the straps, or
So like the V, so here, this is the top of the suit and it comes down like this. So
talking about in the front
this
and the
part,
bottoms,
yeah, this part coming out a little bit more so that when you hit your front pose, it's not like
opening it up.
questionable. Yeah,
Opening up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. You should still be able to see your suit and not just skin
Correct.
when you hit that front
Yeah.
pose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and
Understood.
my
Understood.
glutes grew a little bit too. So it was making a gap there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And they are, I mean, girls aren't as bad as wellness girls. Wellness girls suits are a lot worse when it comes to showing stuff they shouldn't be
And
showing.
very low on the front too.
Yeah. Well, what happens with that is I think that they tend to order the same sizes as like a bikini girl would order. But wellness girls have bigger glutes. So what I was talking about before with the bikini going up and over the glutes, well, if you pull the bikini bottoms up and over the glutes in the back, guess what happens? It pulls down in the front.
It's got to give somewhere.
Yeah, it's not just going to stay there. So you got to make sure that you got long enough inseam on your bikini bottoms. That's the first thing, and that it's sitting on you like on top of your glutes, not up and over, and then it's still pulled up high enough in the front at the same time. So
Well, that's the
yeah,
thing too, is like make sure that when you guys are putting your suits on, more of like the bikini girls, that the top of the glutes are framed and the front is
yes,
pulled up. A lot of the
yes,
times the front is too low and it's too high on the glute. So
yes.
just cross check with your coach, whoever's, in person with you, or, anybody. And like I do it, I do that before I go stage all the time. Like, does anybody see anything? Is this good? Is it not? And I check it like 100 times before stage.
Yeah.
I'm neurotic about that. But a lot of people don't wear their suit correctly from front to back.
Yes, agreed. And that's one of the things I critique on the BSPN all the time when we're doing these show reviews, because if you pull it up too high in the back, it actually shows like your tailbone,
Yeah.
and it shows the little dips in the back, and it makes your glutes look shallow.
Yeah.
So, or like in my case right now, I got to get my glute dry needles so that I can get that to open up. It's got a little divot there right now. It shows that if you don't cover it, like we were just talking about with those fit model suits, it's like you can cover more imperfections with that than you can with these bikinis that go up and over. So you do have to be aware of that, making sure that you're not showing things that you should that actually detract from your physique.
That you don't want to be
That's
shown.
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So those are all little things, but yeah. So
Sweet.
yeah, in general, going back to what we're at right now. So you leave to Arnold when?
Wednesday.
Okay. So I leave on Thursday. So that's actually, I was saying, it was like one of the beautiful things about being in Vegas is that it's like direct flights everywhere. It's so much easier to fly places.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a direct flight too. It's going to be like 3.5 hours because I
Yeah.
usually I have check-ins on Wednesday. So I was like, do I move my check-ins up a day? And usually
Yeah.
I will do that just to have a calm travel day. But I'm like, well, if I'm on a direct for 3.5 hours, I don't want to just be sitting there. So I told my girls just to check in as normal this week. So that's nice. I'll get all my check-ins done while I'm on the plane, and I won't
Yeah.
be like sitting there, getting anxious and thinking about where I'm
Yeah.
going and things like that. But yeah, I can't believe we leave in 6 days. Drew and I were walking the roof last night. And he's like, this time next week, we're going to be landing in Ohio. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I haven't even checked the weather. Have you checked what it's going to be like at all?
It's cold,
Is
very
it?
cold. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wear layers, pack layers.
Great.
I'm already starting to pack a little bit. You guys can see all my stuff back there.
Look at you. I just got back to Vegas this like last night at like 2 in the morning. So that was the other thing too. My flight in got delayed. So I just got back.
Of
I
course it
think I
did.
got back at like 2:30 in the morning or something like that last night. So yeah, it's been fun times. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't even unpack,
Yeah.
just throw it in the
Pretty much.
laundry and yep.
That's pretty much it. No, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna throw everything in. Um, I don't know. So I did really well flying back to Virginia. I only had a carry-on, so I did very good. But flying back to Vegas, I did not. So I had to
Because you
ship
brought
it
stuff
back.
from home. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I brought stuff. Plus, like when we're home, like Dan will grill for me and stuff. I don't have a grill here, right? So it's like I just cook
Mm.
everything on the stove here. So when we're home, like he cooks all of my chicken and everything. So I have a whole bag full of chicken.
Oh my
Like
God.
that is what it
That
is. It's
You're like,
better.
I have my secret grilled chicken for a few
That's right.
days.
It's
Yeah.
it's so much better when it's on the grill versus cooked on the freaking stove. I'm sorry, it's so much better.
I've been
So
really into like I've been trying to save a little bit of money, so I've been not ordering mega fit meals every week.
yeah,
And I Drew makes this baked chicken for me and shreds it, and it has like lemon juice, lime juice, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and he puts like a touch of orange juice on it. And I love shredded chicken when I'm super, super deep in prep because it feels like more volume. It is
okay.
so good. It is so like tender and with a little bit of rice and coconut oil. So good. But
I
this
need to
these
get
are the things
better
we talk
about
about as
that.
bodybuilders is how
I
we
know.
prefer our chicken to be cooked.
I'm like, I gotta get better about cooking stuff with my chickens. I always just cook it just so boring. I put some freaking salt on it and that's it. You know what I mean? So
Oh, me too.
I think if I,
Support you
I'm
there.
like, I think if I put like maybe I'll try some lemon and some orange juice and some stuff like that. Just
It's
see
good.
if it
I'll send you the
helps.
recipe. It's really
Okay,
fun. It's really
perfect.
easy too. I usually make it on our fit body calls all the time. Like I'll
Oh,
throw it in,
really?
and then by the time we're done with the call, it's shredded, it's done. It's super easy.
One of my favorite things this off season so far, because my fats are so high, is bacon. So like
Ooh,
I cook bacon every morning, and then I save the bacon grease too because you can use that for your fat and stuff later on. So I have a whole container of bacon grease in my
there
refrigerator.
you go. There you go. Just
So
weigh it out like a coconut oil.
yeah, it's great to cook with. And again, it's like having like coconut oil or something like that, but it's bacon. So it works great. I don't know if you
Different
if your
flavors.
family say it again.
I said different flavors.
Yeah, and it's like it's I don't know. I love bacon, the taste of bacon anyway. So it's like that's that you cook your chicken in that and it's good. So I use that to warm my chicken up. I don't actually cook it in it, but I'll use it to warm it up with. So it gives a little bit
Interesting.
of flavor, a little bit of flavor. But again, my fats are so high. I have to play with stuff like that because I just can't get everything in. I'm like, damn
Damn,
it.
what a problem to
I
have. Those
know, right?
fats
I
are
gotta have
so
more
high.
bacon. I'm like more
Yep.
bacon grease. Jesus, so
Goddamn.
healthy. But yeah, that's like my favorite thing now. I add that into my breakfast every morning is my bacon and my bacon grease. Yeah, it's fun
I
times.
cannot wait to have brunch the Sunday after the Arnold. Like I don't know, like I'm just like craving like a nice pancake and some
Yeah,
sausage and an
that's always
omelet.
my favorite thing after a show is breakfast. I don't even want like a big
Yeah.
dinner or something like that after the show. I want breakfast the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a
And we're
big
gonna stay a
breakfast
little bit
person.
longer on Sunday because Jesse Palmer lives out there, so we wanted to like go,
Okay.
go to brunch with her and say hi. And I've never met her in person, so it's gonna be
Oh,
cool.
okay.
I'm really excited just for the trip in general. It's gonna be like you're gonna be there, Nikki and
Yeah.
Adair are coming. It's just
Yep.
my best friend Kelly's coming from Florida. She's coming to do my hair. Like it's just everyone that I love is gonna be there in this really intimate setting. So I'm super excited.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It always is every year.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I'll be covering media and things like that too. So that'll be fun.
Shawn got the media pass again.
I know. Third year in a row. Third
Yeah.
year. I'm
That's not a
still like,
small feat, guys. That is
no,
not a
it's
small
not.
feat. Yeah.
And I'm the only female. I was saying that. I was like, there's one other woman on the list, but she's with a magazine company that they cover all the footage and stuff like that. So it's not even like her own thing. I am literally the only female covering the show. The only one. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm like I told you, I'm flattered. I'm like, but we need more women doing this shit. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, she texted me earlier in the week and it was like the list of all the people I had to meet. And she's like, what do you notice? And at first I didn't notice it. And then I was like, oh, you're the only female on there. Like, which is awesome.
yes,
And again, what I told you through text is like you are one of like three people. Like the amount of knowledge that you have and like your commentary is just so good. So they were like, this girl's good enough. We're just gonna bring her in.
right. I know. I'm all you need. I'm all you need. But no, really. I mean, honestly, I look at stuff like that, and I'm like, we need to build up the female side of the sport so much. I'm like, I wish some people would step up the game.
Me too.
So we'll
I
see.
did notice
We'll
that
see.
too. Like I was interviewed earlier in the week or last week of on the Femi Flex Friday with Olympia TV. Like I wish there was like more of that. Like
Yeah,
more of the women that are seeking out the other female athletes in this sport and commentating on it more. And yeah, there's definitely a need for that.
100%. And it's
Yeah,
just like it's one of those things. Like we can't complain about the lack of attention or prize money or whatever if we're not going out and doing it ourselves, you know what I mean? Like we got to put just as much effort into it. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
And like I know like and I'm realistic too. I understand like we talk about the different female versions of sports versus men. Like the men get way more attention than women do in every single sport. That's just how it is because it's an aggression thing and men have more testosterone and freaking it's just more like people they beat up on each other and you know people like to watch that versus we're soft little women over here, you know what I mean? But at the same time there's just still room for us to grow. There's still room for us to be more powerful than we are. So but that goes back to I think a lot of women are afraid to put themselves out there like we talked about at the beginning of this podcast and just risk things. You got to risk it. If you're gonna risk, if you want the reward, you got to risk it. You know. So just if there's something out there that you want to do, just go fucking do it. Even if you get rejected 1,000 times, because I still get rejected all the time with this stuff too. So it's part of the process. If you think about like so, I did door to door sales for a while when I was in college, and we always talked about with sales, it's the law of averages. So for every 9 no's, you get one yes. So just go out there and get your no's. You got to get no's in order to get a yes. Just get no's. It's okay. It's okay to get
And how
no's.
many
So
no's have you had where you look back and you're like, thank God it was a no?
a lot. I don't know if I could pick one off the top of my head, but
Oh
there's
no, I'm
always
just saying,
there's
like, I look back
oh
and
yeah,
like
there's
when I'm like,
always
oh, like you're so disappointed in the moment, it's like, dang, that sucks. But then when something else happens or it's better, or if you were to say yes to that situation, then you're in a bad situation. You're like, oh my goodness, thank God. One of my
absolutely.
favorite songs is Unanswered Prayers by Garth Brooks. And it talks
Yep.
about how like he prayed for this love for so long and it didn't happen. And then he was so grateful because he actually found like this big love. And like I think about that all the time. Like we pray for these things and sometimes they just don't happen because there's something better for us around the corner. And it's like you really
100%.
have to remember that. Like a no is not an end. It's
Yes.
okay, pivot. What's
Yep.
next? Keep
Yep.
pursuing that, whatever that is. If you really truly want something, you're gonna get it. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of how you're gonna get there.
100%. And and it's again, I sound like a broken record, but just putting yourself out there,
Yeah.
just putting yourself out there and being willing and open to receive it if it happens and being okay if it doesn't. If you get the no, there's a reason why you got to know.
Yep.
You may not know right now, you may not know a year from now, but there's a reason. And I'm a big believer in that. Like I've said before, I'm a big believer on energy. What you put out, you get back.
Same.
So, it's like there's gonna be something that comes your way that's meant for you. If that wasn't, right?
Yeah.
But you got to put yourself out there.
Yep. Gotta
You
keep
got to
showing
put
up.
yourself out there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right. So let's start going into some questions here. So,
Okay.
do
Why
you
you
have a
want
good one? You
you want
want
to start with
to?
that?
Oh,
Okay.
I can. Let me see. What do I got? Hold on. Um,
I got some pulled up, but what else?
I
I
do
already
too.
I already asked you one of mine with the suit stuff. So
Yeah. So here's a good one that somebody asked. Is it surprising that so few ladies entered Fit Model in Vegas this past weekend? And I'm going to say no, it's not a surprise because the show itself was only had 20 female competitors total. So
small
there was
show.
four, right? There was four Fit Model, of course, but there was 20 girls total in the whole show.
So
It
it
was a
wasn't
small
that
show.
Fit Model was small. It was just a small show.
Yes, it's just a small show. And in
No, I'm
general,
not surprised by that either because I think some people are still prepping for it. Remember, this was just announced at the
100%.
beginning of the year. Some people weren't even ready for prep yet, and now they're
Yep,
starting to prep. So I think a lot of people are number one, prepping for it right now, or number two, they're sitting on the sidelines waiting and seeing what's going to
absolutely.
come up there.
Well, I think this is something that happens every year too. The first 3-4 months of the year are low when it comes to numbers for shows because there's just people are coming out of the holidays. They're just getting back into prep, like you said. If they're trying to be
Nationals
strategic,
is still middle of the year.
yes. If they're trying to be strategic about how they decide to do their show season and going to nationals stuff like that, it does not make sense to be doing local shows until May. It just doesn't make sense. There's
Yeah,
no national shows until May. So if that's the goal, why are you going to prep for a show that's in freaking February or January?
right.
You're not going to do that. It just doesn't make any sense. So in general, shows up until April really are very, very small. Then once
Yeah,
you get to April, from April all the way through until like November,
September.
October, November, that's when they're busy and then they get slow back down again. And you're right about September too, because we have the last couple of national shows. And not a lot of people really stick around for that national show that's in, November, December. Those are just girls that have been doing very well throughout the year usually, and they're trying for that one last time on that pro card circuit. So we really get past the meat of all these really big national shows once you get past North Americans.
Correct.
So typically
Unless
what
I have someone that
happens,
I think is lights out for
yeah,
November, December nationals, they're starting prep in
yes,
September. And all my
that's right.
other girls are done at that point.
That's right. And we do have a decent swing up of, fall shows. I would say when it comes to just in general, we're talking about numbers, early spring, probably your lowest numbers, right? Then you're going
100%.
into summer, that's going to be your highest numbers. And then fall is going to be somewhere between summer and spring when you come to numbers
Correct.
and shows. So
100%.
so that's
I
that's
love to put
typical.
first time athletes on stage like in those fall shows. They're still
Yes.
big enough that they're competitive, and it also gives them time in the beginning of the year to keep growing while the national circuits are going on. So like for a first
Yep.
time competitor that starts with me like November, December, January, we go into like that little improvement season, get through the national circuit, and then we start prep for some, fall shows. And that's like a
Yes.
really good kind of schedule for a first time athlete.
Yeah, and usually too, if you think about a typical person, they're going to go and do a few shows in the summer, and then they're going to go off season. Well, you're not going to make any improvements if you go right back into prep in January. You know what I mean? So for a lot of these girls, it's like, okay, let's stay in the improvement season until we get to summer again. Then we
Right.
can diet again for fall shows. Right? That tends to be a good rotation
Good
usually.
time off,
So
good time on.
yeah, yeah. So no, I'm not surprised about the numbers at all. And I don't think they indicate anything about the criteria either. I don't know if that was a question or not, but I don't think they indicate anything about the criteria either because there's been 14 girls total that have competed in the division so far. So there's
Which
that.
is crazy. It's cool.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What is your favorite part of show day?
Taking a shower after.
That's a good one. That's a really, really good one.
That's
That's definitely my
literally
favorite
that's
parts.
literally my favorite part of the whole day because I hate the tan. Like
Me
as much as
too. It's the worst
I
part of the
like
day.
it is the worst. It just smells. It's sticky. It's gross. I hate the tan.
Me
So
too.
my favorite part is getting it off. That's
That's a
my
really good
favorite
one.
part. How
That's a
about you?
really
What's
good
your
one.
favorite?
I was thinking about this last night, and I love the thrill in between prejudging and finals.
Yeah.
Like I just love like the anticipation and the anxiety. Like of course I hate it in the time, but like when I'm thinking about like the most exciting part of the day, it's like, if you especially if you're, splitting center or doing well, it's like just like that anticipation and getting ready for finals and like locking in, like that's what I'd say is my favorite part. It's like
And I would say
that
just
energy.
I would say beyond the funny part of the shower part of it, I would say that same feeling, but prior to prejudging, going on
Yeah.
stage, like when you're standing backstage about to go on, that's my favorite part because at that point is when I start to let the nerves go and I just kind of like get into the moment and like enjoy myself. And I'm like, okay, at this point I can't change anything, so we're just gonna go have some fun. Like I start dancing backstage and all this kind of stuff. There's a video that comes up every few months now from when I competed in Dallas 2 years ago, and they're taking a cell phone video of us standing backstage about to go on stage, and they're going down the steps off the stage, and I'm standing there dancing. Like I see that come up like 4 or 5 times every year, and I'm like, everybody always tags me in it. I'm like, yeah, that's just what I do when I'm backstage. Like that's what I'm getting into it. So that I would say, other than the shower, that's my favorite part.
I'm glad you said that because, like, I need to be better at that. Like, I
Yeah,
get right before prejudging, I'm just like overthinking everything and like wanting to be perfect, like going over the routine in my head. And that's where like I can appear stiff, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I need to be better at like, hey, what's done is done. Go
yeah.
out there and have some fun, loosen it up. And that is something we've talked about like at Arnold is like not being so rigid on like having like a schedule or a ritual or just like go with the flow, have fun, loosen up. Maybe I'm going to do a
Yep.
shot of tequila. That has been talked about. I don't know, but like I just got to loosen up and go have some fun up there.
Absolutely. It makes such a big difference when you have a good time, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the expediters or the MC or something like that backstage is really good about that too. Like they'll start talking to you while you're waiting to go on stage. I love that because that breaks everything up as far as like, okay, I'm just start like having a conversation, laughing and things like what we do here, just eases
Normal.
everything. Yeah. just eases all the tension. That just for me that really breaks it up too. So I enjoy that kind of part too.
I needed
So
that to hear that too. So thank you for this question.
there you go. There you go. Let's see. Actually, this was a good one that we've done this once before. Somebody asked if we could do a live podcast one day.
Yeah,
I think we should. I think we should.
absolutely.
I don't know
Yeah.
when, but I think we should. I think because I can't remember. We did it once before, right?
Well, I'm considering coming out and doing your,
Oh, the posting
sorry.
clinic.
Yeah. So maybe I come
Yeah, yeah,
out a little
yeah,
bit earlier. We do it before, after, something like that.
yeah, yeah. We could definitely work on that for sure.
Yeah.
Either
No, those are
either
fun.
right
I
before
love
or right
when Shawn and
after.
I are in person and we can do an
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, absolutely. So I think they're more wanting us to actually go live, like when we do this talk and stuff like that. So
Oh,
I
oh,
think
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you see what I'm saying. I think we did that once,
Yeah.
didn't we?
I don't know if
I
we've
think
done
we,
it live with them and like the interaction like you usually do like on your
I
show
feel like it was
recaps and
when I
stuff.
was I think it was when I was in Japan. Wasn't that it? Wasn't that live on you? We did it on Instagram.
Maybe, maybe. Yeah, yes,
I'm pretty,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
did.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, I
No,
know
that
we
would be
did it
fun.
once. I'm like, I
No,
know we
yeah,
did it
yeah.
once. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. No, that I love that idea.
yeah.
Let's do
I
it.
think we totally
Let's
do it.
schedule it. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, so we
Awesome.
didn't even have to be in person for that. We just do this and we throw the
Yeah,
comments up.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. I love that. I love interacting
I'm like,
with all of you
oh,
guys. So
yay.
yeah, that's a great
Cool.
idea.
Awesome. We'll make it. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
We will work on it.
Yes. What else you got?
Okay. Um, this is interesting. What are your thoughts on girls competing in, they said NAT show. So I'm wondering if it's natural or national. I think they mean national. Thoughts on girls competing in a national show, but looking like they could not do well in a regional show. Yeah, it's definitely national.
It's national. Yeah. I mean, it's their
That's a
money,
tough one. It's fair money for sure. And listen, everybody has a right to show up to nationals if
right?
they qualify.
Qualify.
The
Mm-hmm.
question is to that athlete that maybe qualifies at a smaller regional show, like what was the competition, right? Like
Yeah.
if you got top 2 and there was 2 in your class, you should probably ask yourself, is this a really true testament that I should be showing up to nationals?
Right.
Now listen, I got second in my very first open show and I went to nationals 6 weeks later and I had no business being there, but I had no realistic or no expectation I was getting a pro card. I was very realistic and I was just going to have fun and learn. And
That's
it was
right.
one of the best shows that I learned. So it depends. I'm going to support an athlete no matter what, as long as they're reasonable with their expectation.
Right.
But as far as your direct question on, girls that are showing up to the national show, but looking like they couldn't even do it all regional, you have to remember, like, where did they qualify? Where was that show in the country? How many were in the class? Like, that really does make a difference in terms of, are you ready or not to be showing up to nationals if the goal is a pro card.
Right. That, and then also like you said, it's like, what's the goal? What's the expectation? Um, things are different now versus when I competed, because when I competed, it was like you competed in your hometown and that was it. That's all you had the option for. So you had to go to bigger national shows in order to get next to people that were of quality. Like I always did well in my local shows, but that didn't tell me if I was going to be competitive at the national level or not. So I went, again, no expectation. It was more so to see myself next to those bodies, because a lot of times until you get into comparisons and stuff like that, you don't know where you really fit. You don't know what you need to do in order to be competitive. So sometimes it's more about collecting data, and if you're going into it with that kind of thought process behind it, cool. you know um Again, national shows now are a whole lot different from when I was doing them. A lot more
Even when I
expensive.
started.
Yeah, a lot more expensive. A lot more, just a lot of everything more than when I started. So you have to weigh all those things, right? And sometimes when you are in the middle of nowhere, as far as your shows are concerned, you're not getting the best judging feedback. You're not getting the best judges in your area. So sometimes you need to go to these bigger shows just to kind of get your ass handed to you. You know, that's what I did in order to know what I needed to do to be competitive. Like I just didn't know. And again, this was in 2012, 2011, 2010. Like those completely different than what we got today. But there weren't people next to me at these local shows where I especially at my height, it just wasn't a thing. So I had to go up to those bigger levels. So I at the end of the day, if you want to go, you've qualified, go. You
Yeah,
know, like there's nothing stopping you.
right.
Um, and
And for the
even
other
if you're
people, it
just doing
doesn't
it for the
matter.
experience, yeah. Even if you're just doing it for the experience, go for the experience. Go to have fun. You know, whatever it is. You know, I hear this a lot because this happens a lot in men's bodybuilding. Because guys will show up at the local show and they're the only ones in their class. So they qualify and they look like they didn't diet a day in their life, and then they go to nationals. Well, sometimes they just want to go. So what if
Right.
they get last place? If they enjoy it,
Well,
if they
that's what
have
I'm
fun,
saying.
who
Like
cares?
it doesn't affect you,
Right.
right? Like you have to just focus on you at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And we're not in a position right now where nationals is 40 plus girls in a class
Yeah.
at most national shows. Universe is pretty big and North Americans, but still not 40 plus girls in a class at this point. So you can't really be annoyed that someone's showing up that maybe,
Yeah.
shouldn't be there. But again, like everybody has their right to get up there and get that feedback. And, I bet a bunch of those girls are showing up just like you're saying, Shawn, just to get up there, get up with the best. And that way they
Yeah.
know exactly what they need to improve on and come back next year. And honestly, mad respect.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like there's something to be said for being a small fish in a big pond. You know, you start to realize like the other part of that is what do you want to be? Like do you just want to be that big fish in a small pond? If that's the case, then stay in your local level. That's fine. But if you need to get yourself out of your comfort zone in order to see what you have to do in order to grow, that's what you got to do. You know,
That was a
you got to
perfect
go do it.
analogy. That was a perfect
So,
analogy. Yeah, there's a
yeah.
there's a an athlete out in Florida, and she competes in like all the local level, and she like wins overalls every single time. But I have not seen her at nationals yet. So,
Yeah.
and that might just be her goal, and that's
Yeah.
completely fine. Yeah. So it depends on what your goal is, and I love the big fish, small pond, or small
Hmm.
pond, big fish reference. Like
Yeah.
perfect, perfect, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our thought process is on that. Um, let's see. So why is it now coaches are at the front of the athlete's success and how they place? Is a question.
I mean, I know I wouldn't be here without Jamie.
Yeah.
It's like our coaches, the ones that we hire and trust, are the ones that we believe can take us to our goal or to our next level. That's the question is always like, why do coaches need coaches? And because we don't trust ourselves to see
Right.
ourselves in a light, like we would our own athletes. Our coach is there, number one, to obviously help us accomplish the goal physically. Number two, to keep us grounded mentally. And then when you get to the higher level, Jamie does work with us as, some sort of like manager,
Yeah.
picking shows for us and what judging panels we need to be in front of, or meeting us and networking with people. Like that's why the coach is at the forefront of success, because the
Hmm.
coach is able to bring the physique to the stage and the conditioning that we need, protect us so we have longevity in the sport, and connect us with judges, promoters, whoever, to continue to create those relationships. And, at the pro level too, like it's a game of chess. Like you got to show up, you got to come in right. You got to make sure that you're, in front of the panel that likes you, because you have to remember too, in bikini, especially think about the top 5 at the Olympia. All of those girls look amazing, but they're completely different shapes and physiques.
Hmm.
So a judge might have a keen eye to one shape, where another judge might like another shape. So really, the coach is there as that eye and also that managing component.
Yeah. And I don't think this is anything that's new either, because I think the way that this was couched as far as
Yes.
the question is concerned, I think this has always been the case.
Yeah.
Even when you think back to the guys in the 90s, 80s and 90s, they all give credit to all of their coaches back then too. Because bodybuilding is a very self-absorbed sport, meaning we are in it 24/7, 365. And it's really hard to see past being in the trenches as an athlete, right? You need somebody on the outside that can look at you objectively and say, this is what you need to do. This is where we need to go. This is how we need to do this. Because again, I go back to, could I coach myself? Sure. I mean, I could do it myself, but I would question everything. You know what I mean? Like at some point, I just want to say, I don't want to think about that. I've got too many other things going on in my life. I just want to be told what to do and what's best for me. Now,
Same.
going back to and athlete relationship is a relationship, right? So I don't have Jamie just dictate what I do. I tell her what I'm thinking, and then I get her buy-in, or we discuss what we're going to do, you know. um I think a lot of times what also happens with athletes that are not the best athletes in the world is they assume that they if they hire the guru coach, they're going to be made. They're going to be made. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Coach can give you the best program in the world, give you the best advice in the world. If you don't do it, you're not going nowhere, right? You got to take your own responsibility as an athlete, so I think it's a relationship between the two, and I don't think one can survive without the other, to
Correct.
be honest. Like, can you prep yourself? Yes, people do it all the time, right? But that is a few and far between kind of person that can manage that, especially when you get up to the higher levels.
Yeah, I
Especially when
give
you get up to
I
the
give
higher
self
levels.
coach a lot of credit could
Yeah.
not do that myself.
No,
Nope.
no way I could do
Nope.
it. I mean, it's just, again, it just goes back to, I just overthink everything,
Same.
and I would question every little thing that I'm doing. For me, it's more,
What? You're type A and you're a bodybuilder?
I
What?
know, I know,
No.
right? Yeah.
No.
And again, it goes back to, like, also, this is not to say one coach is better than the other. Sometimes you just vibe better with one coach than you do with another one, right? But also, athletes, listen to your coach. If you've gone down this path of, I'm hiring them, I'm going to ride or die with them, ride or die with them. Don't pick and choose little pieces here and there, because then you can't give your coach any credit. B, you can't blame them for anything if you're not doing their program. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that just trips me out sometimes with some of these girls. I'm like, you literally didn't do anything your coach told you to do, so you can't blame them for that. Like,
And
you
you
can't
weren't
blame
happy
them.
with the result, and now we don't know what was done to
Right.
fix it. That's the
Right.
biggest thing. I don't mind athletes coming and saying, I don't want to do this, I don't like this, can we change
Yeah.
this? At least if I know what's written down and the plan is getting done, then I know where we can pivot. But
That's
then if
right.
an athlete comes to me post show and they're like, well, I didn't do any of that and we didn't get the result that we wanted, I'm like, well, can we just go back to this plan? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that I can change that at that point. It makes it
That's
very
right.
difficult. Yeah.
That's right. And I think what you find is the ones that don't follow the programming, you'll never hear about their coach either. You know what I mean? Like, the ones that really tout their coach as being like somebody that really helped them and everything is somebody that followed the plan,
Yeah.
because
And the
they
ones that are making
realize,
progress because they're
yeah,
boasting about it, which they should. They
that's
should
right.
be boasting about it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
think, and again, I think
It's
it
a good
goes
point.
back to, there's just, and most athletes in the sport too have not been around long enough to understand it well enough.
That's true. That's fair.
Jamie's been around for how long? Like 20, 30 years, something like that. I don't know about 30, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she's been
Her
around a
last
long
Olympia
time.
was 2011, I
Yeah,
believe.
she actually started like a year before I did, 2 years before I did, something like
Yeah.
that. So she's in that somewhere between 15 to 20 range is where she is too.
Yeah.
So, you know, that
And mind you, if
person,
you asked her, still learning,
that's right. That's
still
right.
fine tuning. Like they're always a student of the sport.
Yeah. That person that is your coach should have more time invested in the sport than you do. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
should. They
Mm-hmm.
should, I personally think that good coaches most of the time have been competitors, not necessarily high level competitors, but have at least stepped on stage and understand the viewpoint from a competitor standpoint.
Yes.
Um, and so they can come at it from several different angles, and they
Yep.
can see it from ways that you can't see it when you're in the thick of things.
That's
So,
really a really great point. I think there is a genuine level of coaching and understanding for a coach that's been through it
mhm,
and gets it and
mhm,
understands it
yeah,
versus guessing what that feels like.
yeah.
There definitely is a difference of that.
Yeah. And again, going back to, it's not that they had, not to say they had to ever been an Olympian or anything like
No,
that, but to at least have been through the process themselves.
right. Knew what it felt like and
Yes.
then knows what questions to ask or what that feels like and, has a tool to help.
Yep.
It's different to say I'm fatigued versus the coach going, oh, okay, I know what level of
Mhm.
fatigue you're at right now. Maybe this could help.
Right.
There's definitely a genuine understanding when you've both been there together, not together, but
Yeah.
yes, you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think all that matters. So to answer the question, I think it's appropriate for the coach to be out in front. A lot of times, I think it's appropriate to give them credit where credit's due. You
Me
know.
too. Me
So
too. It's a team effort. It's a team
that's
at the
right.
end of the day. It's not multi team, but it's you and them.
That's right. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
let's do, you have one more? We'll do one more question and
Yes.
we'll end it out.
Yeah, I have a good one. Um,
I'd just like to take a moment to welcome our new channel partners, Prozis. If you're unfamiliar with them, go ahead and go down into my description box now, click on the link, go check out their site. They are the leading supplement sports nutrition company based out of Portugal, been around for 17 years. You might be asking what makes Prozis unique? Well, everything that they make is made in-house or with trusted partners. They have to go through rigorous testing in Portugal in order to even get any products on the market. So what you're going to find really high quality, pure supplementation. And one of the biggest things for me is I have some GI issues. So being able to eat some of these more healthy protein treats and things like that and not have any gut issues, oh, worth its weight in gold. Go check them out. Click on the link in my description box below. Use the code cuties10 to get all of your discounts and even some special surprises. They're always putting out some amazing promotions. Let them know that I sent you and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching and thank you for supporting our channel. Now, go optimize your own athletic abilities and check out prozis.com.
and I think that athletes focus on this a lot, right? They focus on their big goal, but they want to know from us, what kind of things do you guys set for yourself as weekly goals right now at the highest level of bodybuilding? So the way I interpret this question is, obviously we both want to grow and things like that, but like, what are those smaller weekly goals that we're looking at or focusing on to get us to that big goal? And for mine, I would say, one of the biggest things I thought that has really helped me in between the Olympia and now, again, with the caveat that I'm at the level that I'm at now. So I don't have to put on as much body fat or eat as much food in my off season. I was able to stay leaner. So I was able to see my lines the
Yeah.
entire time that I was improving, which made it very, very visually appealing for me to keep going because I was seeing the improvements each week. When I was an amateur and I had to eat a ton of food to be able to pack on the muscle that I needed, it's very hard to see your progress at that point, and you get to a level of discomfort, obviously, and you're wearing baggy t-shirts and, things in the gym that don't necessarily show your lines. You really don't see your progress until you start cutting most of the time as an amateur, but that's what's needed in order to grow, for the sport. So I would say my weekly goals are looking at my measurements, my body measurements. Obviously the measurements are not going to go up each week, but we should be seeing some sort of measurement at least every 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Or making sure the waistline is staying where it is and that's not getting bigger. The glute should be getting bigger. The thigh should be staying where it's at or maybe slightly bigger as you add a little bit of body fat. But really kind of taking that intake with yourself. That would be kind of a weekly goal in terms of growth that I look at.
Yeah, for me it's a same but different. My measurements don't change much. They just don't
Yeah.
because I'm so tall. It just is what it
Yeah,
is. But
exactly.
I do look at my waist measurement because that's a thing for me. More not so much for size purposes, but also for like inflammation purposes
Mm.
and digestion purposes and things like that, because that's something, as we know, I've struggled with for a long time. And for the last for this whole off season, I have not had an issue with my waist measurement at all. It stayed the same. So that's something I'm looking for because for me, that's an indicator that my body's functioning well. So that's, something small as far as the measurements are concerned. But I'm always looking at photos, weekly photos. I mean, we do our check-ins once a week. I want to see my body still in a good place as far as composition is concerned. And I want to see different things happening where like I'm seeing my booty pop a little bit better or whatever. My mobility getting a little bit better with how I'm twisting. My core staying a little bit tighter when I'm in each pose. Those are the things that I'm looking for every week.
It's a really
Um,
good one. Really, really
yeah,
good one. I've
because those are
noticed
the
my
things.
face too. Like after a free meal or after like drinking,
Yes,
like how round is my face or how much body fat am I carrying on my face?
absolutely. And on the facial thing too, that's something that I work on actually in my progress photos and in my posing because, like we've talked about before, not looking stiff on stage and things like that too. I look at my photos sometimes. I'm like, oh my god, I look like I'm in pain. You know what I mean? So I do actually do my progress photos and think, okay, relax your face. When I'm
Yeah.
doing my videos, because I check in with video every week too. So I'm doing my check in videos. I want to make sure I've got good flow, right?
Mm.
I want to make sure that my again, my face matches my body, and I feel look like I look comfortable doing what I'm doing. I know it's uncomfortable because we know posing is not easy, but I want it to look like I'm comfortable. So those are all things that I do. Those are all things I look at every week. I also pay attention to just the types of food that I'm eating. Like those are things that I watch every week too. I just had this conversation with another one of my clients. She's like, she just started with me a few weeks ago. She was on a meal plan before. She's on macros now. And she said in her check-in this week, she's like, I just found some of the trigger foods that were messing up my stomach versus what I can digest well. Those are things that I look at every single week too. You know, one of the things I talked to Jamie about in my check-in this week was I was down on my protein. I was having a hard time. I had a hard time with hunger, sick, all that kind of stuff, and my protein was low. And I was like, you know, I was trying everything I could to get more protein in. And I started putting in protein powders. I said, but I don't want to do that a lot because then it screws up my gut. I said, so I'm in this weird position of, you know, I'm trying to get my protein goal in, but I'm trying not to rip
But
my
at
gut
what
up at the same
risk of
time.
your gut? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So, you know, though, again, those are things that I look at every week and I'm like, okay, how can I improve this? You know, one thing I started doing just since yesterday is when I have my chicken, I've just been adding an extra ounce of chicken in, you know, just because I can eat an extra ounce, you know, 3 times versus trying to get a whole other protein meal in.
Meal
You
in.
know what I mean?
Smart.
So
I'm
those are the
glad you brought
little,
that up.
yeah.
I just had a client, you know her, that checked in this week, and her weight's been stuck. She's in prep, and she just looked very inflamed to me. So we got on a call, and it's been something that her and I have discussed many, many times in her improvement season, that I wanted her to clean up her foods. And it wasn't that her foods were bad; it was just a lot of ingredients that
Yeah.
we don't know what's causing what.
Yeah.
So I begged her this week. I said, I do not want to change your macros, but I want you to pick 2 carb sources, 2 protein sources, 2 fat sources. Just stick with this for the week and humor me. Let's see what
Yeah.
happens. She messaged me a day later. She dropped 1.5 pounds overnight. So that's where I think, like, you know, there's macros and then there's IIFYM. And I think that in the off
Mm-hmm.
season, I talked about this in my YouTube, that a lot of the times we go off season and we're like, okay, we can fit, you know, different foods in the diet and, you know, still stick within the macros. And all of that is correct. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yep.
However, if you're really trying to get to that next level, you should be feeling like an athlete
Right.
24/7. And in that improvement season, again, is where you make the improvements. Prep is the easy part. That's just
Yep.
getting lean. That's just dieting. You know, like it's even more important in those off seasons to be looking at food selection to keep inflammation down, you know. So, and I know that this is something that you've really struggled with, and
Yeah.
you've seen a huge difference with, you know, treating
Absolutely.
every season like an in season.
Yep.
So I love that. That's really good.
And I had the same conversation with one of my clients this past week, and I had her drop out all of her artificial sweeteners and everything like that, and she immediately dropped like 3 pounds. I was like, there you go. There's the
Yeah,
deal right there.
yeah.
So, and
And I, you
it's not
know,
even about the
it's an
weight, it's the
elite level
inflammation.
of, yeah, yeah, it's an elite level of nutrition. You know, like
Yes.
when you're getting started and you're a newbie, going from not doing any kind of tracking or, you know, whatever.
I was just saying, I was like,
New
we lost me
headphones.
last week, you this week.
So sorry. What I was saying was, like, when you're a newbie and you're, you know, haven't dieted ever, and then all of a sudden you start tracking macros, that's going to work for a while because, like, that's just your body getting used to being on a clean diet. But
Yeah.
eventually, just tracking macros with any types of foods, it's not going to be sufficient anymore. Your body's going to need something else to kind of take you to that next level. So if you've been doing this for a while and maybe you're starting to see digestional issues or you're not making as much progress, I would definitely start looking at, you know, the food types and selection, especially if you're also noticing like gut distension, or maybe you do notice that your face is like inflamed a lot, or you're breaking out outside of like a cycle. Like those are all things that maybe something in the diet just not working for you.
100%. And that's the biggest thing too. I say this to my clients, at least 3 of my clients every week. I'm like, inflammation is the silent killer, you know, and that inflammation is coming from somewhere. So if we can eliminate that inflammation, you're going to see a lot better progress and you're going to feel so much better too. And your body's not going to be constantly fighting that inflammation too, which that takes a lot of energy from your body to actually fight off inflammation. So
Good
that
point.
energy is going towards
Stress.
that. Yes. That energy is
Yes.
going towards that versus building muscle or whatever it is you're trying to do at that particular time.
Yeah.
So just by taking out a few things and cleaning things up, then you get your body actually working towards where you want it to work towards.
Optimally.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right. So we'll go ahead and end out for today because we like to keep these around an hour and 15 minutes or so, and we're over that already. I still have a bunch of questions here, so we can
Same.
just keep adding to the till as we go along. But we will be in Columbus next week, so we'll try to figure out like when we can do our next one. I'll be traveling on Thursday, and I know you're going up there on Wednesday, so we'll figure that out. We'll talk and figure out when we want to put out our next one. But next week is going to be a little bit crazy, I think, with both of us trying to get stuff done. You're going to be getting on stage, and I'm going to be covering the stage, so it's going to be fun times.
Yeah, fun. Sure will.
Yeah, fun. Lots of fun. Lots of fun.
One
It is,
second I'm really
though.
excited, and the next second I'm scared.
I know. It's just it can be overwhelming. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. I don't think you're scared. I think it's just a lot of feelings all at once, and it can be very anxiety driven and like just overwhelming. Like, I mean, this is a big stage. This is a big stage. It's a big deal. And it's, like I said, an invitational. And again, you've never experienced the Arnold, so you're just going to have to experience it for yourself, but you're going to see it's a completely different energy than any other show that you've been at. And I know you're gonna love it. I know you're gonna love it. So
Can't wait. Can't wait.
yeah, it's gonna be so much fun.
Yes.
Yay! Hopefully we don't get any blizzards. Let's like cross our fingers, no blizzards.
Yeah, just everybody that's going wear layers. That's
That's
all.
right. Well, again, and most everything is inside, so you don't have to go
Right.
outside. My only concern when it comes to traveling to Ohio is snow, and hopefully that doesn't like, cancel flights and shit like that. So that's the only thing.
Didn't even think about that. Thank you for the added anxiety, Shawn.
My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't
She's
mean it.
she's trying to make me anxious. Now I'm looking up the weather right now. Let's see. No
My bad.
snow. No
There you
snow.
go. See?
It's
We're good.
gonna be very cold though.
I can't see
Holy
that one.
23,
Oh
20,
yeah, that's oof.
34. Yeah, okay. Wear layers,
Oh,
everybody.
so we'll be staying inside. No walking to Powerhouse. No walking to Powerhouse.
You will not see me in a two-piece sparkly bikini walking down the streets of Columbus, Ohio.
No. Oh, that's too bad. Too bad. That could have been fun. Well, you got to get your picture in front of the Arnold statue. That's
That
like
I
a
will.
tradition.
We need to
So,
do one too.
yes. And the best time to do that
Okay.
is morning, first of all, before everybody gets there for the expo and everything like that. And usually Sunday morning is the best day to do it because there's the expo's still going on, the expo's still going on, but there's not as many people there anymore.
Okay.
So you get there at like 7 or so in the morning, 8 in the morning, get your pictures done in front of the Arnold statue. You're good.
How about the bridge? How about the bridge? When's the best time to get photos?
Really any time there, because the only time that's really busy at all is like after the show is over with.
Okay.
Because everybody's going back to the bar and stuff like that. But really during the day, it's just because all the athletes are at the Hilton, and
Yeah.
like most of the VIPs and all that kind of stuff will stay at the Hilton. So it's not super crazy at that hotel ever. The only times it gets busy is like when the athletes all get together to go backstage and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's the only time it really gets busy. And then at night, everybody goes to the bar. Like everybody hangs out at that hotel bar. Everybody.
Cool.
So
Cool.
that's when it will be busy. But other than that, if you want to get pictures and stuff on that bridge, just do it at any of those in between times and you'll be fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
Shawn.
you
She's
did.
like my little event coordinator. Thank God.
I got you.
Yes.
I've been doing this
You've done this
since
a few
since
times.
2012 or whatever it is. I'm like, I got you. No worries.
And then there's Jordan showing up for
Yeah.
the first time. Hi, I'm here. I'm just gonna compete.
Yeah, it'll be fun times. It's fun times. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it, and
Me too.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys and Greg's on media this year too. So
I
that'll be
saw
nice.
that. I
I know.
Get
I was
both
like,
of
oh
you
cool,
guys.
I'll have friends in the press fit. Yay.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. So we'll get lots of good coverage, right? Lots of good
Can't wait.
coverage. So
I cannot wait.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't
Well,
wait.
I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, no, in just a week. In just a
Yes.
week.
Yes.
All right, guys. So that will do it for Behind the Bikini today. Next time you'll see us, we'll be in Columbus, Ohio. And this is episode 78, right? 178. Okay. All right. And like, comment, subscribe, all the fun things. And we will see you back here next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.